Each of you has been a part in the last more than 2 years of a response to 9/11 and an attempt substantially to improve the ability of the United States to anticipate and frustrate future 9/11s. And I know each of you regards it as a process which is long from being done, but each of you has testified to believing that major steps forward have been taken. I want to ask each of you to use his or her imagination. And because you're not collectors, to assume that no additional information or intelligence were available, but that all of the reforms that you have participated in were in place on 9/11. Integration, the communication among agencies and the like, the whole rest of the works. What would you rate our chances under those circumstances of having been able to frustrate or to prevent 9/11 from taking place?
I have absolutely no idea. I listened to the staff statement quite closely, recognizing 2 years ago I didn't follow this, so I've learned a great deal in the last year plus of the watch listing challenges that went on. I can only deal with the subject from sort of the perspective of an analyst, and I listen to sort of the connections, and they make sense to me. But again, we're talking about thousands of pieces of traffic that come across people's desks, and they're all trying very hard, as the staff suggested, to do their jobs. And all it takes is one break of a link, and you may lose the trail. This analysis business is really hard, and I have a great deal of sympathy for the argument that dealing with transnational issues generally cuts across so many different organizations within the intelligence community and indeed the U.S. government writ large, that I'm not personally convinced that it would have made a substantially better chance. I mean, we are certainly sharing information, and I think that in the context of the intelligence community, we're training people to do watch listing better and make sure that we get all the names. But there are, as I suggested in my statement, a lot of ways around watch listings as well. So that's about all I'll say.
I have to agree with Russ. I also don't have any idea, and I certainly wouldn't present to you, sir, that everything we've done has made us a foolproof operation. But speaking not only for my colleagues who are adjudicating visas every day, but for all of the hundreds of people I've met in the last 2 years who have together wrapped their brains around these issues and stepped up to the challenges, there isn't a person out there that doesn't want every day in every way to make it the tightest system possible. I do believe that that's the genesis of the kinds of changes we've made in the order in which we've made them, to close as many vulnerabilities and holes and knit up as many different ways as we can. Would it have gotten us to a different place on September 11th? I don't know. Like Russ, I listened very carefully to Mr. Zeliko's statement and greatly saddened, as we all were, by it and what we could see now. Those are teaching moments for all of us. We will continue to apply our efforts to doing the very best job we can.
I, of course, would echo what my colleagues have said, but there are too many ifs. I can tell you that I was out of the United States government for about a year, and when I came back, the cooperation, the visible cooperation, the tone has totally changed after 9/11. And we have a lot more work to do, but we actually have people sitting around the table and trying to articulate and go through the processes, not as to what things should be doing, but how they actually are operating. And we, on a daily basis, clearly at my center, with the cooperation of all of the assignees there, are constantly trying to figure out ways of, is there a hole here? How are we not communicating? And then we regularly here, between Maura and Russ and I, as well as a number of other people in different agencies, meet pretty routinely, just trying to figure out how can we improve. The process will never be over because we'll always look for ways to fill the gaps and to improve.
So each of you, as a very dedicated public servant, was putting his or her full time into the kind of challenges that we're facing can't really tell us whether all of the work that you have done and that your colleagues have done would have substantially increased our ability to prevent 9/11 based on exactly the amount of information we had then. One of our challenges, one of the things we're asked to do, is to make a determination as to whether or not the system in effect at 9/11 should not have been able to do better and to prevent it. So you can see the frustration we have, the investment that the people of the United States have made in you and in what you're doing is very substantial. But you have no way of telling us we would have had even a substantially better chance of preventing 9/11 if everything you'd have done had been in place then. That's the summary of your answers as well as I can understand them. Is it correct?
Times change, sir. I absolutely believe that the interagency model is the right one from a TTIC perspective. And I certainly believe that the amount of information sharing is just plain good government. And the fact that we are bringing all these databases together is almost a blinding flash of the obvious, frankly. Those are all good things. But I can also tell you that the terrorists are responding to what we're doing, and they're getting smarter in their own way. And we can talk about that at length offline, sir, if you'd like.
Well, I thank you very much for your candid answers. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.